when communists came, they just came. They even didn't knock your door. They just opened the door and they took your livestock. They took everything from you, saying now it belongs to the nation, and if you're not willing to give it willingly, we will just take it.
Zdenka, thanks for joining us on the Dean's List. We're happy to have you on board.
Thank you, thank you. It's my big honor and pleasure.
I felt like this was an important conversation. I felt like I wanted to have with you after we met over the summer a few weeks ago, and you started talking about your story. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued about the wealth of knowledge that you have, basically regarding two political movements, maybe two economic styles, two completely different ways to go about experiencing life. And I think your perspective is extremely unique. I don't know anybody with your perspective. And I think that there's probably, I don't know, most Americans probably don't know anybody with your perspective. And so I'm interested in your story. You grew up in the Czech Republic.
Yes, yes. I'm not keeping my age in secret. So I was born 1977. So and I lived 40 years in Czech Republic. So I grew up during communism, and when I was almost 13 years old, the iron well just fell down. So it was 13 years,
Yeah.
but it was
So,
very intense.
okay, intense. We'll go to that word in a minute. So not only do you have this perspective of communism and freedom, but you were there when, as you say, when the iron veil fell down. Um, before we get into that, you used the word intense. Tell me about the intensity of it all.
I think the intensity was created because I grew up in communistic family. Because to grow up in communistic country doesn't mean that you have to agree and you have to be communist. Then you became a persecuted person. But my family really believed what was the communistic ideology, to Marxist, ideology. So this is why I think it was intense, because even to being a little girl, I remember that there were always nice people and not really nice people to me, to my family. So I didn't understand very well what's going on. But later, when all these secrets were revealed and I became a little older, I start, thinking and considering what was going on, and I started to understand more and more what
Okay.
was.
So as a 13-year-old then, maybe you didn't realize the I guess devastation that was happening either currently or potentially, and it wasn't until later on.
Yeah, so maybe I can tell you the story of my family, because it's very well known to me. There was a lots of devastation in the family of mine, because my father became a communist, because he really believed there were always two kind of communists: the communists who really blindly follow the ideology, and those who believe that it's a good thing and they can change the world by united us and do great stuff. And my country was very poor, and people there believed that the communism can actually bring better life.
Okay.
So he decided to become a mayor of our little city. So what I didn't know, and I realized a little later, when you want to go on this position, and we can, it's a really wide open story, because as you probably know, the communist really doesn't like smart people,
Hmm.
and they're actually uh, they just continue what the Nazi did. The Nazi actually killed all the intelligence in all
Sure, right.
European nations.
Hmm.
So communists just continue in the same way. They destroy, send away, or kill all the intelligent, creative people. So my father was actually worker. He studied only high school, but then when he decided, because he was a very smart man, he decided that let's do something, let's change something, and he applied to be a mayor, and he was voted. Actually, they chose him. They sent him to, of course, communistic political school first, and
Hmm.
I didn't know it as a little girl, because when he was in on this position, I was 3 years old.
Hmm.
So I didn't know first that he had to go through this political school, and then he became a mayor, and he was a mayor for 8 years. And my father, as I remember him, he was always amazing man. He was really strict to us, sometimes very strict,
Hmm.
but it make us better characters, better people. But what happens to him? He spent a lot of time with me every weekend. We just did stuff together. He helped me to ride horses. He helped me to learn how to walk. We walk a lot because he was walker. He loved to
Hmm.
walk. So we really walk like kilometers and kilometers together, and we talk. He was great man, but what I realized later, he started drinking alcohol, and I didn't know why. I was just upset with him because he became very bitter, and the distraction, it was just how the communism works. It kills everything good in you, because they just function based on fear.
Hmm.
So everything what he did well and he did good has the opposite side as well, because he have to fought for everything, and sometimes the fights were not really easy.
Hmm.
So I can say all men who really was fathers or had some responsibility towards someone drink a lot of alcohol during communism, and we call it you can drown the pain in the glass of alcohol,
Hmm.
because they were full of pain, because their visions, their dreams, their responsibilities, their creativity, everything was just destroyed. Their proactivity, they couldn't even like do something extra because it was not wanted.
Sure,
So
sure.
there was actually persecution for all these good things I just named. So I start seeing, my father drinking alcohol a lot, and he became a bitter man. Even he did great things, like people in our little town, they really thinks like he's a good man, he's doing great things. During his years in the office, he actually built school, he built the daycare, he
Hmm.
built the fire station, and he actually helped my city to grow up, but
Hmm.
it has a price.
It has a price. So what was that price for your dad?
Um, it's really hard. Just even say, there were things behind the scenes happening, and I don't know if these stories happened exactly to my father. I don't remember if it was his story or of another friend being in the same position. But in the times, like, no one can really owns anything. Everything belongs to the government, and the government, the state rules everything, but they rule based on fear, how I mentioned before. And they, of course, they promoted the collectivization. So when I was born, it was already, the communism was running, and it was behind the worst thing of, happened, like in 50s. It was the worst, like from the worst. There were people removed and killed if they didn't want, gave what they worked for all the life, because my nation, and especially Moravia, the southern part, used to be the farmers' land. And all the people work hard to survive during, after war. There was the poverty,
Mhm.
and there was such a hard season for people just survive. So they learn how to help each other. The family works together. They farm. They had a, livestock. They had weeds and stuff, grain. But when communists came, they just came. They even didn't knock your door. They just opened the door and they took your livestock. They took everything from you, saying now it belongs to the nation, and if you're not willing to give it willingly, we will just take it. They even, like, there was not question. They took everything, and they create this collective, like, farms and stuff. And people were forced to work there for common good, but no one really believed it's for common good, because people suffer.
Mhm.
And I just recently read the articles how it works when this collective farms or ranches actually create some harvest. They had to give everything away, and they can kept for their provision just very small amount, just to feed the livestock. Everything traveled to somewhere, to bigger cities, to provide for market, for communistic party, for the government, for the state, for the good.
Mhm.
And the lie was in that communists actually call the people state. But in normal society, the state is here for people. But in communistic life, the people are here for the state. And,
That is such a huge distinction.
mhm,
And I don't think that is is understood here in America. I don't think we can grasp that concept that in communism the people are there for the purpose of the state.
yeah.
And so I would ask you this. The question is, who is the state at that point? And in my mind, it's the people at the top.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. And and it's why all this ideology is such a big lie, because they were actually teaching that there will be equality, but there was none. There was just the workers and the government, nothing between. The society was robbed of everything, and government prevailed.
Mm.
So there was just few people, and these people were well trained by Russian communistic parties. So as I know, because it was in the times when I already was in the school, there was man named Gottwald, and he came and he robbed. He just took the presidency of the previous president by lies, abusing informations. He just and by violence, because he was trained by Russian people. He was given weapons, so he just create this huge lie that not only people he already trained, but also the Russian government will send some army, and they will took over the presidency by violence. So he rather signed up his papers, like he's leaving. Sorry for my English. Sometimes the
No,
political terms are so hard for me.
no, You're great. We love it.
you. It's also part of my life because, of course, I grew up during communism, so everything Western was prohibited. So I never was exposed to English language until I came here. So it's hard to learn English when you're adult already
Sure.
and older.
I bet. No, you're doing great. We love
Thank
your accent.